we win. Another thing, I went to Hutchinson and we travel in the town very well.
Very much so. I was also there, and it's like, okay, when they gonna get here? You know, we're Silver Lake at, you know, and it's like our whole spot is packed. People are very impressed with the support that we have. Just, you know, I on what you're saying, I think about the sign down at the elementary school and everything. You know, Beloit expects success, and you know, and that's kind of sums up our community where we have success, and when we go places, we plan on being successful because we have had success. So it's nice to see it continue. Frank.
I think the lights really look nice downtown and down in the park, and everybody, or quite a few people have their houses decorated, and it really looks nice.
Thank you. Rick?
I'd like to congratulate both Beloit teams for going as far as they did. And yes, we do too about the lights. It was very nice.
Yeah, they wasn't too far from making it to their state game either. Been nice to what happened.
Well, the lights, you know, I worked the Isle of Light Saturday night, good crowd coming through, so I mean, it's great. They put a lot of work in that place, it's just, I don't know how they do it.
I like driving by them down
Yeah, it's great.
the streets in the north. Huh?
I agree with the lights, talking about sports, too. We have a boy, Con, sealed it in that one state and
Yeah, he won the first state championship cross country.
so cheers to him, too.
He's worked hard for that. Bob?
Well, I'd like to say, I really appreciate the coach, the article in the paper, commending the other team, how well they played and everything. Getting beat 40 points is pretty hard to take, but that shows you that he's a gentleman at heart.
Very much so. I know there's probably 62 other teams that would love to have been there.
Yeah.
I got another thing. I forgot, this Sunday, we've got the holiday home tour is gonna be going on here in Beloit. It's gonna be starting here at the municipal building. They're gonna have a soup luncheon going from 11 to 2, and then the tour is gonna start from here from 1 to 5. So I hope everybody comes out. I know they've been advertising that across the area, so hopefully we'll get a good influx this weekend of people.
Goes to a good cause. Katie, do you have anything at this time?
No, not tonight.
Mr. Rodney?
Couple of things. A lot of people in town have received the same letter from an insurance company that they got, I think last year, maybe it was the year before. It has to do with water line insurance. It is a legitimate insurance, a legitimate company. You can buy that type of insurance. It has nothing to do with the city or anything like that. We do not endorse or have anything to do with that type of insurance. People, of course, can buy that if they want to. They're insuring their own private line. It has nothing to do with the water main or any public property or anything of that sort. You can buy any type of homeowner insurance that you want, but they seem to do that about every year about this time. I think they do it because of the freezing and the thawing they get into the winter time. So I think it's probably their prime time to send out that type of insurance. I have no experience with that. I've never purchased it myself, so I don't know what that's all about. But a lot of people have called this week asking about that letter, but it's just somebody trying to sell you insurance is all it is. So you can do anything you want with that. Christmas party, you may have noticed, has been moved. We're going to actually have a New Year's Eve party now. Location's been moved and the date's been moved. So the other date and location didn't really work out that for us. Anyway, police chief search, we do have interviews coming up in the middle of December. Passed around the schedule for that, so those folks around that committee be aware of that coming up. So that's it.
Okay.
Just alert people, if they don't know the weather's about to change, you may get some snow, driving conditions here may change pretty quick too. So be aware of that. New Year's Eve, we're gonna have it at Plum Creek.
On New Year's Eve.
31st, yeah, New Year's Eve.
Thank you, Glenn. We have no public comment this evening. The next item on the agenda is the minutes from the November 19th council meeting and appropriations 12A. Is there any questions for staff or any questions on the appropriations? If there's no questions, I entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
It's been Motion's been made by Councilman Brown that we approve the minutes and the appropriations of 12A. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Delta. Is there any further discussion? No further discussion. Jessica, would you please take a roll call vote, please?
Delka,
Yes.
Brown,
Yep.
Struble, Miller,
Yes.
Audi,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is ordinances. We have ordinance 2134, the alley vacation in the Baldwin tract. Is there any questions on this vacating the alley?
I have a question. I might be wrong about this, but I thought that used to be a railroad line. Is that owned by us, or is that owned by a railroad company, or does anyone in the city know?
Are you talking about the railroad right away that's on that map there?
Yeah, that's to the south.
There never was a
I thought there was a second line that went through that.
where the railroad is, right there on your.
On the map, it shows it right away.
The old Missouri Pacific. The other one was Union Pacific over the other side.
That was my question.
Any other questions?
The only question I got is, has this been plotted?
No, they have not submitted a formal plat yet
No.
as such. No. They won't do that until actually they go through this process, vacate the alley.
Get the alley out and then they'll finalize it.
Yeah.
Next meeting, they've also petitioned to vacate an easement. That goes through a little bit different process, so we'll do that at the next meeting.
Motion been made by Councilwoman Struble that we approve the vacating the alley on ordinance 2134. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Richards. Is there any further discussion?
What is this area currently zoned? Is it currently zoned residential or commercial or?
It's currently zoned mobile home park.
That's where the old one used to be
And,
down there.
The planning commission will consider rezoning that in the upcoming meeting.
So they're gonna ask for rezone? What are they
Yes.
asking to rezone it to, do you know?
Residential.
Any further discussion? Would you please take a roll call vote?
Richard,
Yes.
Delka,
Yes.
Struble,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Audi,
Yes.
Brown,
Yep.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on the formal actions is a special event license for the Park and Recreation at First Rock University class. Any questions? This is so they can have a wine with their Italian dinner.
I move that we approve the special event license.
A second.
It's been moved that we approve the special events license from Councilman Miller, second by Councilman Brown. Is there any further discussion? No further discussion. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is adjournment.
So moved.
So moved by Councilman Brown that we adjourn. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Delco. Any discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned. We'll now go into the work session. And Katie, do you have anything to say?
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
No.
Okay. Under discussion items, the concealed carry law.
Yes, I apologize. It was a short week last week. I didn't get all of the security plans and resolutions drafted. So I will get that done, and those will be in front of you next week. There's been a request for you guys to vote on exemption for the power plant, the sewer plant, the municipal building, and the library. So I will have all those in front of you. I just have to get legal descriptions and go through 4 separate processes, so that's why I don't have it done. I'll take one more time. That's really power plant, sewer plant, municipal building, and library.
Katie, who requested the exemption for the library?
We just kind of discussed that in a work session to give the council the option, since it is city-owned public building. Basically doing it with a few of our other buildings, and give them the option to go one way or the other on it. Yes?
Does the library board have any, we stand on the issue one way or the other?
We have not discussed it. We were kind of waiting to see what happened.
Katie, if those buildings want exemption, do they have to furnish security?
You know, we have to come up with a security plan and file it with the state. With the intention, well, I guess to answer your question, the intention is yes, eventually they need to provide adequate security.
And basically, the only security you have is a guard and another woman, right?
Yes.
Do you really foresee that at the power plant, the sewer plant, library?
Well, I think the statute will change before then, honestly. I really do, but
Well, that would be the only way I would think you could do it.
I
I
can't.
don't have a problem with it, but I think the way it is right now, there's no way you could justify doing that.
No, and we've discussed that with the municipal building here. It's gonna be, that would be impossible, definitely.
We did.
We will have to do some of that in closed session. Those security plans are not public documents by statute. They, for obvious reasons, are not to be disclosed to the public, so some of that will be in closed session, but the resolution, obviously, you guys will vote on that in open session, so.
Okay. Thank you, Katie.
And we'll also have the employee ordinance for employees as well, next meeting. Whether they will be prohibited from carrying or not.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the power plant systems secretary.
What we're trying to do is add a secretary, half a day at the power plant, half a day down systems. And what that will do, it will ease up on the foreman. He can be out in the power plant training those new operators. Because there's a lot of training that he should be on doing. And down on my side, there's a lot of maintenance been neglected because we're growing fast. And we're getting behind on a lot of maintenance and updating of our systems in the past. And I'm hoping by getting the secretary there, that'll relieve me of some of that, and Alan what he does, and put us more out there working on the system. And that's kind of where we're trying to go with this. There's several things that we have to file and keep track of on a regular basis. And that's what I'm hoping a secretary can do for us, ease up on us in there doing that. And I'm not sure what else we can say, but that's the whole gist of what we've been really after. I guess we're bringing it to you to kind of get an idea of what your thoughts really are here.
Ronnie, we've talked about this, and I visited with Glenn today, and I'm understanding that if we don't do something like this, you're gonna have to hire another lineman? or-
Well, we may have to, because we're gonna have to put people out there updating on Circuit 13. That breaker that I tell you is gonna get, and on Circuit 13 is a real big break, circuit. It's getting loaded. It's not gonna take a whole lot more. So if we want to continue to grow out in this area, we're gonna have to build a circuit out there to release some of that load on that. And that's why I'm hoping we can get a secretary to relieve us so we can get in there and get started on that. But it's gonna be a while before we get started on it, because we still got that north campus that we have to get on and do. And that's the number one priority, what I'm understanding. But when we get done with Circuit 13, we're gonna have to turn around and get started on Circuit 14. And that's the one going up to the north campus. I mean, we gotta get updating some of our stuff, or we're not gonna be able to grow.
Did you have money set aside in the budget for this year for that position?
Henry looked at his and he said we did. On next year, I'm not gonna say, because I haven't seen the final draft of that budget, but I know we put in for it. But what's left in there, I have not seen it. But we're not gonna do anything till like the first of the year, and if some money ain't there, we ain't gonna do it.
But I've got a question. How does the street and alley and water department, how are those departments different than the electricity department or power department in the sense of needing a secretary? How do their, what's different in their departments that they wouldn't need one like?
Yeah, I don't know, they might, but they haven't proposed it, so I don't know if they have the same, requirements, same needs that, same growth in the system that we're showing here with the electric side.
I mean, I guess like Ronnie was saying, they've got a lot of things going on. Well, I know that the street and alley department, they have a lot of things going on, and I know that Kendall has a lot of things going on
They
also,
do.
but,
Right.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out what they do differently that they don't need a secretary versus, I mean, I'm assuming, presuming, I mean, do they all code their bills, or do they bring them down here to the city office?
They do that.
And the ladies code the bills, or how does that work?
No, they do that within the department, and then bring it down here, of course. But, that's part of what they do.
Do all three departments have government reporting for government programs?
Not all the same,
and
but,
regulations.
Yeah, there are various different things. I mean, the street department would be different than the other types of utilities. They wouldn't have the
Water
same-
and electric would be more.
Probably closer together than, well, water, wastewater, and electric are more similar than, say, the street department is.
We also pointed out to free up one more guy to be out there working, and how many in the power department would free up?
Just one,
One, well,
Henry.
and how short is the power department on help?
Well, they say we're short two, and we're short one, because we used to use the meter reader over into it at the end of the week, end of the month, to help us out getting some of these jobs done. And we used to hire seasonal help, which we don't anymore, because we're finding out that the young kids out there, we can't have them out working around the electrical part of it anyway. So we just kind of gave up on that.
How many were you hiring temporary, Ron?
Well, we hired it 4 at one time.
For like 3 months?
Yeah, 3 months.
So that'd be about the equivalent of one person, right, for a year. But your regulations are getting more and more involved versus.
Well, there's more and more coming up. We've got a FEMA reimbursement thing that we're gonna have to be working on. We've got to have a professional engineer come in here and survey our electric system. And what I understand, that's gonna be a yearly thing that we're gonna have to do in order to be entitled to a FEMA reimbursement if we have a storm come through here. And the way I look at that, that's our insurance policy on our system. And without that, I'm not sure we'd have enough money to put something back together if we had a real big storm.
And the secretary would spend a half a day in your department, half day in the other.
Right. But
on the
that
other
don't
hand-
have to be equal, because the way I look at it, if one department has a lot more going on at that particular time that's more important, she might as well stay there and get that done, then come here. So it doesn't have to be an equal 4 hours.
But what I was looking at was a wage deal. You're gonna pay a secretary to fill in, you not have to hire another person in your department.
That's
One
what we're
person
gonna,
to step up and take care of that. In the other department, you're too short in it, there's 2 wages right there. She takes a half day and takes care of that too, so that's a no-brainer there.
yeah, we're gonna try to do that and see how it works, is where we're at. I feel like what we've been doing, we've been growing, and there's a lot of pains that comes along with that, and we're getting to the point where we're gonna start feeling something.
Well, I've kind of weighed both sides of this, and I think if you're looking at 3 people we're short, and if you feel like you need to be out there, because I know you're trying to get ahead of the game, that if this allows you to do some work that you're not able to do now, then I would think it might be justified.
I can't imagine all that with all the secretaries that busy, in this day and age anyway.
Well, and, you know, Ken's got a point about the other departments too. I know a secretary is invaluable at times. You just.
Yeah, if you get a good one, they can really help you.
And if they get to that, I wouldn't worry about the other departments, if they get to that point, they can come to us also, and we can discuss it.
I agree. Well, I know that right now we're a little short-staffed with Mandy being on maternity leave. When she gets back, is that gonna lessen the need for this position, or, you know, I mean, 'cause I'm just questioning, you know,
No.
she's on maternity leave now with the
Well,
secretary, and,
I can't say that she doesn't do something for the electric, but it's not as much per se as that's directed right at the utility.
yeah. And are we currently advertising for those 3 open positions?
No, what I thought I might do is open it up to the city first and see who applies and see if somebody will step forward to fill that shoe. I guess I'm looking at it, if we hire someone and they ain't doing the job that we expect, that I guess we would use that 6 months and we would keep trying until we got a good secretary.
Well, what qualifications do you consider the secretary has, that you could have?
Well, I'd like to have good computer skills and filing. A lot of the stuff that she's gonna have to learn is gonna have to be learned from us down there.
In other words, you're gonna have to school her first.
School somebody, yeah.
So you'll open this up for applications
Get within the city first, because that's normally the way we do things.
within the city before it goes to the public?
Right.
Computer skills and filing, I don't think that would be a problem. If they didn't know how to do that, they're not even gonna apply for the job, I don't think you'd have a problem. Taking too much time to educate them.
What's your feelings on this, Glenn?
Yeah, I think it's needed for the reasons that Monty's talking about here because of the way he's sort of rearranging the department there and covering 2 different departments, so to speak, systems and with the power plants, and also avoiding hiring what would be higher paid people on the other end if you want to, another lineman or power plant people or something like that. I hate to go that route if you don't have to at this point. So I think you probably solve a lot of problems at a lower cost going this way with that.
So then that would basically then, with her doing the filing and the paperwork, that would basically take some of the things away from the ladies here in the office as to what they're doing.
No, they do something completely different here.
Because everything you're doing is internal down there.
Down
It has
there,
nothing to do
and doesn't-
with the.
I mean, a lot
So you
of,
don't bring the bills down here for them to code or anything like that?
we bring our invoices down here to be paid by the, I guess, be Shelley. She sends out the bills, and whoever pays, makes out the checks anyway to pay the bills.
But you're more interested in records. and
Records down
keeping
there
up
in
with-
our shop and the
Keeping
plant.
up with the codes.
Codes and
whatever.
stuff. A lot of, with this new FEMA stuff that's coming out, I'm not exactly sure how much that's gonna be detailed, but I did talk to an electrical engineer today that has done a little bit of them, and he's gonna try to get me some information on it and give me a price. And I first thought, when we was thinking that, we'd probably have to supply 2 people within to get that done, but he said I'd probably have to supply 1. You know, so, a little bit of my thinking was a little bit wrong, at least according to this guy.
Do you, I assume, have certain deadlines for different reports and regulations?
The power plant does. They have monthly, weekly, and I think they've got yearly. And they may have some quarterly
So
too.
would this person be responsible?
Where
for-
if we can get her taught, or the secretary, I'm not saying to be her, but most times it is, If we can get her taught doing that, that's our goal, to get her into that. Because I want more than one person to know how to do that. Henry knows how to do it, Mandy knows a little bit of it, but I think we ought to have several people know how to fill out those reports, because that's kind of important, so we don't get messed up with the federal government on power plant.
Well, training, like engines out there and things like that, training, is the hands-on the best way to do it? In other words, have an individual already knows to do it, help the guy out?
And
It
that's
doesn't
kind
have
of-
to be a special trained agent or you?
No, what we're trying to do is free Henry up to go out there with those new operators to train them on this power plant. We've got them going through the KMU power plant certification, and that, they're teaching them the fundamentals, okay? But they still have to be taught on this plant here.
Well, I understand that.
And that's where Henry should come into play. He's got the most knowledge down there at the plant, and to me, he's the most likely one to train them. And that way, with him training them, they're gonna learn his way and somebody else's way.
Are there a lot of occurrences where you or Henry, either one, are the only ones that take care of a certain problem, or are your people all up to snuff?
Well, and down there at the system, I've got another person who can step right in for me. And we've got a guy down there that can kind of step in too. You never know from one day to the next on what he's thinking, so I tried to ignore him, go pretty well to Henry as my number one person, if anything needs to be done.
Then what do you need from us now to proceed? Do you need
Well, we'll just bring you, hopefully, a job description in the next council meeting and approve that as a.
Okay. In other words, you budgeted for it.
Yeah, for next year. Right. It wasn't specifically for that, but like you said, for the other positions you have, plus we don't hire the summer help anymore if you hire the personnel that we have, because that's how it,
Okay.
that's what we're doing.
Well,
So,
we'll get that on our agenda next meeting, and we'll work our way through it.
Okay?
A vacuum breaker purchase.
There's a spare spot down there at the power plant on that metal structure for one more circuit coming out of there, and that's circuit 12, okay? We're gonna use circuit 12, and we're gonna convert circuit 4, which is a 2400 circuit, and it goes across the river and down there towards David Kohler. We're gonna get that converted to a 12.5 circuit, then the circuit 9, which run down there by CPS, we're gonna get that converted back to the plant. And then when we get that converted, we're gonna head down Ashenville Road, which is gonna be taking some load off of circuit 13, which is the one that's serving Sunfire right now, because it's getting loaded. And by doing that, if we can get that filled up and take some load off that, that's gonna help expand 13 more in some of the areas. And with the circuit 12 going down Ashenville Road, on the south side of Ashenville Road, that is, a lot of that ground is our territory that we can serve. I'm not saying it's gonna develop, but we wanna be prepared that if something does go in there, we don't wanna have to wait a couple of years to get it built up to serve something that might go in there. And that's kind of where we're going with this. But on the same time, down the road after we get this one done, circuit 14 is gonna have to be addressed, because it's getting loaded too, and that's the one that goes up to the north campus. I think I have enough in there to fill that full of houses, but we're not gonna have much reserve left for expansions out of that area. So we're gonna have to deal with some of that stuff we neglected for a long time on.
It sounds like
I mean-
you're really trying to get that load redistributed throughout the city.
Basically, that's what we're trying to do, get it redistributed on it. And it's gonna be expensive. We're gonna try to put a pencil to it this winter if it gets cold, what roughly we think it's gonna cost, and we're gonna present it to you. So at least you have an idea where it's at.
But this is the first step.
This is the first step. It's gonna be a year probably before we really get going this, but the guy told us that the breakers are gonna go up 5% at the end of the year. So that's why we decided to go ahead and try to get it now.
How long is it gonna take us to install it once we decide to buy it?
I don't know, he told me today it'll probably take 8 to 10 weeks to get it, so it'll be well into next year.
Well, it sounds like to me that this is part of our ongoing growth that we need to.
Yeah, it's,
You know, we did the cooling towers, we're doing all this stuff, and this is gonna help your job by redistributing the load, so we're not overloading some of those other circuits. And
well, it's gonna give you an advantage of maybe growing in maybe a different direction. I don't think anybody knows which way we're gonna grow, but you gotta be prepared